Hi there, so I'm Emma Carroll and I'm the founder and director of learning at Choose to Grow, and we deliver flagship leadership development programs to large-scale organisations. In its simplest form, I'm a leadership coach, and I founded the company in 2015 after experiencing continual change in the workplace, and I wanted to deliver learning interventions that would really hit the mark and help leaders to lead in that landscape where traditional training wasn't really getting the results that was required. So we work in the space of developing wellness, wisdom in leaders and their teams, and driving up that aptitude to win at work. The workplace has been through what we can only describe as one of the biggest transformations ever faced. And I remember when we were making the shift to hybrid, I was kind of considering, is this over for corporates? Was there never going to be an organisation again with the way that we were all working? But over the past 18 months, I've worked with about 13 different clients across a number of different sectors and industries. And every time I've seen great inclusive leadership, it's really come from being bold and being able to challenge the bias in the moment when we're working with the people that we're working with, whether that be face-to-face, online, or through artificial intelligence, to continue that educational journey around inclusivity that we were all on pre-hybrid, and to just ensure that we're continuing that journey around the education piece for inclusive leadership now. But also it's about being proactive and being aware. So when we're thinking about being proactive, it's being proactive in seeking out team conflicts, and habitually doing that in our organisations wherever we may be working, because we are seeing amplified team divisions because of remote workers, and we really need to make sure that we're on top of that and we've got a heightened awareness to that. And along with being aware, it's really about having that awareness of the psychosocial impact of the way that we're all working now. And using brain-friendly leadership principles to attract your team to want to work with you in your workspace, wherever that might be. So it's about having the energy levels on both sides for both leaders and teams, and making sure that they are using that energy to be open and inclusive wherever they may work. Nurturing and maintaining talent long-term in an ever-changing landscape is a real challenge. And what we usually find is resilience is the first thing to be hit within our workforce. And that's why we often see people leaving certain work environments and cultures not being able to sustain the work talent that they want to for long term. So I talk more about this actually in my book, Pivot Leadership, which is the only way to lead successful teams through continual change. And I advocate the 3 W's that I've already talked about: wellness, wisdom, and winning is a good place to start. So if you're starting to see your talent fading in your organisation, or you're having symptoms of churn, or we're not able to sustain your talent for the long term, I would encourage you to think about brain-to-brain leadership principles, so using neuroscience to help you in those environments, so we can create more of an enable environment for the long term. Pivot Leadership is an acronym for perseverance, so leaders really need to think about how they are focusing on, rather than skills and experience to sustain talent, how they develop perseverance skills and perseverance competencies. We've already touched on inclusion is a massive aspect for actually sustaining talent and nurturing it, because without resilience and perseverance and inclusion, we are unable to stay within an environment and thrive. Other things we can think about is helping people to demonstrate their value, so they want to contribute to the organisation they work in. And when we do that, our self-esteem rises, and we know that helps with engagement and talent retention and nurturing that talent. Daily optimising, we all need that. So if the organisation is potentially experiencing a lack of the talent thriving or delivering on company objectives, it's usually down to the way that they're being optimized. So we need to think about good conversations in the workplace that do that in a growth way and through a coaching style. And then finally, that will build trust, which is the final element of pivot. So we often lose trust in a continually changing environment, and the trust between an employee and a leader is usually the first thing to break, that then encourages people to seek other environments which are more sustainable for them. So for me, there are three things that we need to be thinking about if we're thinking about reinventing our employee value proposition in organisations. And that is that the employee experience must be at the core of every strategy that we do. Secondly, I really think that we're already standing on a mountain of value in the organisations that we work in and the people that we already have. So it's about celebrating that to attract other talent to want to work with us. And then finally, it's about really strengthening and being true and talking about the truth between the employee experience and the employer's promise, and actually working with that to take things forward in a real honest way. Okay, so for me, it's always about the opening panel discussion at Workplace X Inspired. It always attracts inspirational and industry leaders, thought leaders, and I just always love to moderate that discussion because I learn so much from the panel guests and from the audience themselves. So I'm really looking forward to getting under the skin of some of the really important issues that we need to be discussing about the workplace for the employer and the leader. And I'm looking forward to doing that with my curious questions and sharing that with the audience for their learning too.